Emperor Palpatine was a genius. He had foreseen everything. The fall of the Jedi, the rise of the Sith to rule the galaxy. But the one thing he failed to foresee was how bad of an idea the Death Star actually was. The first Death Star was originally designed by the Geonosians during the Clone Wars, but was taken over by the New Galactic Empire after the wars were over. They were then forced to assist in the construction and were forbidden from freely breeding. In order to keep the battle station secret, the Empire then completely wiped out the Geonosians. Well, all but one named Click-Clack. So this extremely industrious species, capable of both engineering and construction, were a huge asset to an emerging empire, but they were completely wiped out just to keep the Death Star a secret. The Death Star took 23 years and untold amounts of resources to build. Planets all over the galaxy were ravaged and mined for metals and kyber crystals. The Death Star was essentially just a housing for this super laser. It also took 1 trillion credits to build. 1 trillion. You know what they could have bought for 1 trillion credits? Just off the top of my head. Multiplied by 2, carry the 1. They could have purchased 2,000 Imperial class Star Destroyers, 500 Victory class Star Destroyers,
1 million Defense Cruisers, 1 million TIE Fighters, 250,000 Pilots, 1 million AT-AT, 1 million AT-AT, 250,000 T-Walkers, 500,000 T-Walkers,
and 250,000 Z6 rotary blasters, and 500 Twi'lek massage parlors, because holding those rotary blasters are rough on the back and the neck. In 2012, this is a true story, the White House website called We the People had a petition brought up to have the US government build a real-life Death Star. Of course, it was a joke, but it ended up getting over 30,000 signatures in 30 days. This many signatures actually requires an official White House response. The construction of the Death Star has been estimated to cost more than 850 quadrillion US dollars. The administration does not support blowing up planets. Why would we spend countless taxpayer dollars on a Death Star with a fundamental flaw that it can be exploited by a one-man starship? And it's estimated that it would take 830,000 years to complete. Let's be honest, this was back in 2012. With inflation, I'd say it's at least double that price. So what comes after quadrillion anyway? Okay, back to Star Wars. The Geonosians couldn't figure out how to harness the power of the kyber crystals for the super laser. So Orson Krennic manipulated a brilliant scientist named Galen Erso to study the kyber crystals in order to harness their unique energy properties. Galen worked on a project called Celestial Power, a project he believed would use the power of the crystals to bring sustainable energy to developing worlds. Once he found out that he was being lied to, he fled to a remote planet with his wife Lyra and his daughter Jyn. Of course, they were found by Krennic, who later killed Lyra as Jyn was able to escape. He then forced Galen to come back to finish the super laser project. Here, Galen engineered and built a weakness into the Death Star. A single starfighter could make its way into a trench that runs north and south to an exhaust port that leads to the ship's main reactor. Look, one of life's basic lessons is don't piss off nerds. I don't care how much you have foreseen or if lightning comes out of your fingertips, there's gonna be a nerd that will figure out how to take you down a notch. Now, economically and politically speaking, destroying a planet like Alderaan is such a terrible idea. First, Alderaan is a core world. They were wealthy in both monetary value and resources. The taxes alone made this a bad decision to destroy it. Plus, they were a huge exporter in wine, and it was just flat out beautiful. It looked like Switzerland with beautiful snow-capped peaks and waterfalls. Secondly, destroying Alderaan had the exact opposite effect to the rest of the galaxy. The Empire followed the Tarkin Doctrine, which was rooted in the philosophy of ruling by fear. They thought that destroying Alderaan would scare the rest of the galaxy and would fall in line. But there was a small, itty-bitty little flaw in this logic. It was 100% wrong. It literally caused other systems to join the rebellion. A lot of systems felt that it wasn't worth the effort and lives to try and stop the Empire, but once it destroyed this planet, they realized their only option was to try and defeat it. Luckily, our super nerd Galen Erso planted the weakness, and his daughter Jyn was able to steal the plans from an Imperial base on Scarif. Now, the Death Star had 3 tests of the super laser. The single reactor test on Jeddah and Scarif, then its full power on Alderaan. But then it faced its first real test, an attack from the rebels, and in its very first attack, it was destroyed by one farm boy in an X-Wing with a lightsaber and a positive attitude. Do you know how long the Death Star was actually fully operational? 6 days. From its testing of the super laser on Alderaan to its destruction on Yavin, the total time was 6 days. 23 years and 1 trillion credits to build, and it lasted 6 days. They wiped out an entire planet. They wiped out an entire species to get this project done. They ravaged and pillaged planets of their resources, and they couldn't keep it running for a full week. Emperor Palpatine had the head engineer executed with the flaws of the first Death Star design. But then, in a stroke of genius, he decided he wanted to make a second Death Star. So, you know what he did? He literally cloned the same engineer, I swear, and he had him build another one. This time, instead of a super laser taking 24 hours to recharge, the reactors were upgraded so that it only took 3 minutes. And instead of one 2-meter exhaust port, it was replaced with millions of millimeter-sized exhaust ports. But once again, the one thing that the Emperor couldn't foresee was the rebels finding out the location of the new Death Star, disabling the energy shield, and blowing up the unfinished battle station again. He also didn't foresee Vader throwing him down a shaft either. Speaking of Vader, did you know that before he actually died on the second Death Star, he was almost killed 5 times before that? Check out this video right here to see those, and may the Force be with you.